Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we are diving into Mark Manson's mega bestseller, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Now, this is a book that basically flips the whole self-help genre on its head. It argues that the secret to a better life, well, it's actually to stop trying so damn hard to be happy all the time.
It's a crazy paradox, isn't it? Our culture is constantly telling us to chase happiness, to want more, to be more positive. And yet, the harder we chase it, the more miserable we often feel. So what's going on? Well, Mark Manson says it's because most of us are stuck in something he calls the feedback loop from hell.
I mean, just think about our culture for a second. It's completely obsessed with being positive. Just open up Instagram. It's a nonstop highlight reel of perfect lives, right? This constant pressure makes us believe that having negative feelings, like being anxious or sad or angry, is somehow not okay. And that right there is the trap. That's what gets us stuck in this vicious cycle of judging ourselves.
So here's how that loop works. It's pretty simple, actually. You feel a negative emotion, maybe some anxiety. But then you immediately start feeling bad about feeling bad. You get anxious about your anxiety, and then you judge yourself for it, thinking, what's wrong with me? It's this nasty, self-perpetuating spiral that we create entirely in our own heads.
We are just bombarded with this message that the path to a better life is through more. More money, a bigger house, a better vacation, more likes. But Manson's point is, that's a total trap. Giving a fuck about everything is absolutely exhausting, and it's terrible for your mental health. The real key? It's to care less. It's to save your energy for the things that actually truly matter.
Now, this quote, "Don't try," might sound like just giving up, but it's not that at all. Take the writer Charles Bukowski. By most accounts, the guy was kind of a loser. He was a drunk, he gambled, a womanizer, but he found this incredible success. How? Not by trying to be a winner, but by just accepting himself as he was, flaws and all, and then being brutally honest about it. His genius was that he was comfortable with his own failures. He didn't try to be someone he wasn't.
So, how do we get out of that feedback loop? How do we stop trying so hard to be something we're not? Well, we do it by embracing this really cool, counterintuitive idea that's known as the backwards law.
This quote from Alan Watts just nails it. The more you desperately chase feeling good, the worse you feel, because chasing it only reminds you that you don't have it. Think about it. The more you want to be rich, the poorer and more unworthy you feel. But paradoxically, accepting your negative experiences, accepting the pain, the struggle, that is actually a positive experience. It's a total mind bender, right?
And let's be super clear here. Not giving a fuck does not mean being indifferent. It's not about being apathetic to everything. In fact, Manson says indifferent people are often just hiding their own insecurities. No, what this really means is being comfortable with being different. It's about being ruthless and deliberate in choosing what you're going to care about.
Manson breaks this whole idea down into what he calls 3 subtleties. First off, again, it's not indifference, it's about being okay with who you are. Second, if you want to stop caring about the small stuff, the little adversities, you have to care about something way more important than that adversity. And third, whether you realize it or not, you are always choosing what to give your energy to. The whole point is to start making that choice consciously.
Okay, so this leads us to a pretty radical new way of thinking about happiness itself. You know, most of us think of happiness as this perfect destination, a life with 0 problems. But Manson's take is that that's a complete and total fantasy. Look, a life without problems, it just doesn't exist. Problems never really go away. They just get swapped out, or if you're lucky, they get upgraded. The goal isn't a life without any problems. The goal is a life full of good problems, problems you actually enjoy having, and more importantly, enjoy solving.
So what does this mean? It means happiness isn't something you just magically find one day. It's an action. It's a constant work in progress. True happiness is found in the struggle itself, in the act of tackling the challenges that we've willingly chosen to take on. The joy isn't at the top of the mountain, the joy is in the climb.
All right, I want you to really take a second and think about this question. Seriously, this might be the single most important question in the entire book, because your answer doesn't just predict your success or failure, it pretty much determines the entire course of your life. Almost everyone can answer the easy question. What do you want to enjoy? I want the victory, the great body, the amazing relationship. But what really defines you isn't the reward you want. It's the struggle you're willing to endure to get there. The person who gets fit is the one who actually learns to love the process of going to the gym. The joy is in the struggle.
And at the end of the day,
The struggles you're willing to put up with, well, it all comes down to one thing: what you value. The standards you use to measure yourself and your life, that is everything.
Let's talk about Dave Mustaine for a second. He was the original lead guitarist for Metallica, but they kicked him out of the band right before they became, Metallica. After that, Metallica went on to sell over 180 million albums. So Mustaine, fueled by pure revenge, went and started his own band, Megadeth, which was also hugely successful. But there's a catch to this story. Even with all his success, Dave Mustaine always saw himself as a failure. Why? Because his core value, his metric for success, was be more successful than Metallica, a goal that was external and totally out of his control. Now contrast that with Pete Best, the original Beatles drummer, who also got fired. He was devastated for a while, but he eventually found happiness. How? He changed his values. He decided that having a loving family was more important than fame, and he felt fulfilled. This chart really breaks it down nicely. On one side, you have good values. These are reality-based, internal, and things you can actually control, like honesty or creativity. On the other side, you have what Manson calls shitty values. These are external and uncontrollable. Things like pleasure, material success, or always being liked. Chasing those is a recipe for misery. So here's the big takeaway. It all comes down to this. Suffering is inevitable. It's just part of the deal of being alive. You can't avoid problems. But, and this is the important part, you can choose which problems you're willing to have. You get to control what your problems and your struggles mean, and you do that by choosing the values you live by. So the real question isn't how to avoid pain. The question is, what makes the pain worthwhile? What are you willing to suffer for?